All right, great, great. So it is first of all very glad to see first second students here taking their time out for this session. And hello everybody, this is Gatika Gaggar, and I will be the host of this entire session today for you all. Thank you for taking your time out. And without any further delay, let us start with the session. So before moving ahead with the session, I want to just make the two pointers. Number one, the recording of the session will be made available on our Instagram channel, Instagram page, in the bio of Instagram page. And number second, that if you have any doubts, if you have any queries throughout the session, you can always write in the chat box. The chat box is open for all of the students. So if you face any kind of difficulty, you can connect with your mentor and the guest speaker, Hitesh sir, will be answering the questions through chat box. So if that is clear to all of you, give me a thumbs up or a fire emoticon so that we can start with the meet. Okay, good to hear. Okay, all of the students are reacting just thumbs up. Aren't you guys excited for the session? Where are the fire emoticons, celebration emoticons? Great, great, great. So let us start now. I want to welcome Hitesh Lalwani, sir, who has more than two plus years of experience into the field of associate software engineer, and who will be teaching us all the basics and all the future scope of DevOps and cloud computing. So can we have you, sir?
Hello. Hi, Gitio. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you actually.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yes, you're visible as well. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right,
So,
so go ahead with the session. The session is all yours today.
yeah, yeah, surely. Yeah, so first of all, thank you to give me this opportunity to present my thoughts to all you techies. So we are going with the introduction to DevOps, how DevOps works, why DevOps is important, what practices we follow, what principles we follow. So it's all about DevOps and how cloud is coming into the picture, how cloud is making a big impact over the DevOps part, and how now the AI and ML is very important. So how ML and AI is also important for DevOps. So I will try to show you. So is my screen visible? Is it visible now? Yeah. So so we are going with the introduction to DevOps. So how DevOps is important in our daily basis or in our software industry. So we are basically driving the deep diving into the fundamentals of DevOps, how DevOps is important and what practices we follow, why DevOps is so much crucial in nowadays, how it reduces the time to production, our code in production, to get our code to release much faster. Yeah, so we are so basically DevOps is reducing the gap between the software delivery and the production and the creation. Yeah, so today's agenda is basically what importance of DevOps, what DevOps tools we are using in current market, the role of cloud in DevOps, the responsibility of a DevOps engineer. We also go through some case studies and how one can start learning DevOps and how you can get your hand dirty on DevOps. Yeah, so basically DevOps is a set of practices which combines the software development and ops team. So basically, it what is do it combines development part as well as the ops part to reduce the time to development life cycle, software development life cycle, and produce the much higher efficiency and greater results with less time. So what principles we follow here? So it is basically we follow collaboration, because we know collaboration is very, very important between several teams. Automation, we automate things to do our things faster. Continuous integration, we continuous integrate things, as we know about agile methodology nowadays, how important it is. So continuous integration and continuous delivery is very important. So let's assume if a Flipkart have to launch a new feature. So continuous integration. So there is previous architecture, they have to integrate something. So that is continuous integration, and then delivering to us. That is continuous delivery. They can't go like we have to settle for 2 or 3 months and then we will go with the new feature. They have to integrate on the daily basis. And then feedback is also important for customers. So why DevOps is important? As I already told you, it enables faster delivery cycles and quicker release times, because we automate things, we continuously integrate things, delivery time is less. So at the end goal is to quicker delivery release times. Second, reducing time to market. We also got to know that how DevOps is reducing time to market, how we can accelerate our features and fixes from code commit to production deployment. And thirdly, DevOps including collaboration between development and ops team. So basically, it improves our communication between different teams, so we can communicate better and build a better products. So let assume, take an example, like in a kitchen. If someone goes to a restaurant, we all know, we all go to restaurant. So if a customer asks for something and he has some requirements accordingly, he wants some more spice in more food in his food or her food. So if chef do not take his advice like precisely, the chef or waiter do not give to the other person, so collaboration is not there. They both work independently, and at the end the customer demands is not fulfilling. So it is very important to make the customer demand fulfilling, so here communication comes, and chef and waiter also have to communicate and do our work independently very good, as well as collaborating also. So that makes it DevOps is special. This is a very traditional approach. And how DevOps approach is different from the traditional approach. We collaborate things, we automate things. As we know how kitchen is automatic, automate things nowadays. How we used to cut fruits or vegetables in the earlier time, and how we can cut in few seconds by the latest technology or gadgets we have now. So continuous feedback is also very important from customer. As we know, like as I said, the spice is according to the customers. Some want more spice in their food, or some might less. So continuous feedback and improvement is also very important. So this is basically a DevOps setup, how it is going. So can I if you can see my screen here, the DevOps cycle start. So basically when we code, here we start coding things. So when I start coding things, then we will go to the build cycle. Once the code part is done, the build part is there. We build the setup. The coding is different, the build part is separate. Then we test the code and the or the build we have created. Then the test will go to the release and then release is going to be deployed on the production environment, or you can say on the customer end. Then we operate how the things are working on the customer end, we monitor things, and then we again plan. So it's an infinite loop, we can say, as you can also see from the diagram. So we plan, we code, we build, we test, we release, deploy, operate, monitor, and then cycle goes on. So what DevOps principle we follow on the daily basis? So the culture of collaboration. So there are a lot of communication gaps between the various teams. So DevOps removes the communication gaps between the various teams. There are various tools we can use nowadays. As if you know, the Jira one is very important. The automation is very important in DevOps principles. The automated repetitive tasks to improve efficiency and human error is very important. If we have to do the same task every day, it's quite of tedious. So we automate things. We automate test cases nowadays. Is you know, if you know, Selenium is a tool we use to automate test cases. We continuous improve ourselves. Like as I go with the example of Flipkart or any website you can take as Amazon. So continuous improvement and delivery is also important. And IAC is very important as we are moving to the cloud. So in cloud we are provisioning various resources. If some of you might know the virtual machine, we have a normal machine at our event. What you are seeing now at your end, but we have virtual machine also at the cloud end. We can use them, we can destroy them, we can use the capabilities of cloud to create or provisioning resources at cloud end. So infrastructure as code is also very important in DevOps nowadays. So what practices we follow in DevOps? So continuous integration. We continuously merge our code and then test them, creating a build. The cycle goes on. Then we come to the part of continuous deployment. So the code we have merged in our main repo, or we can say if you go through GitHubs, so we merge the code changes at our end, and then we can able to deploy and to the production environment. Then we monitor and get some logs to uh, get the matrices of the production end, allow like how the things are working at the production end. And as I told about the infrastructure as well, defining and managing infrastructure. We define infrastructure using automation also nowadays. There are various scripts like languages, sorry, like Terraform and Cloud Formation that help us to create resources at cloud end. So now we will go through some DevOps tools and how they are important in our day-to-day life. So initial DevOps tools, version control, like if two persons are working on a same code, so how we can control the merge conflict, or how merge the conflict between the codes will be managed. So we here it comes a important tool. If you know guys, it is GitHub. We use GitHub. GitLab is very important. And nowadays, cloud is also providing us the resource of Azure DevOps. Also in AWS, we also use DevOps. CI/CD, as I told, continuous integration, continuous delivery is important. Configuration management, we configure various things of resource, how to manage them, how to work things, how we will set up some configuration on the production end. Then becomes the containerization part is very important. Then we go to the monitoring, logging, and then very important is collaboration. So version control. So as I told, Git is a very important tool. It is widely used for source code management. We merge branch, we create a build, and someone else is also working on it. Then we have to check there is no merge conflict. It is just we have to create the version of the code. Like assume if someone pushes the code on the Git and the version is one, so the someone other is trying to change code on the same repo, then we have to give the version 2. So we are trying to control the version of our code so that there is no merge conflicts. So keep features Git is providing to us: merging, branching, we create branch, and distributed workflows. So no conflict is there in the code. Otherwise, the things do not work like we want it. So you can check from the link here how Git is very important in our day-to-day DevOps tasks. Then comes to the continuous integration part. So Jenkins is very important tool in the market we are using. So basically Jenkins is an open source automation tool. So it is used to building, deploying, or automating any project. So we create different kinds of builds here. Let's assume I give a examples also here. If someone wants to create a automation, there are various steps in the automation. So when we create a code, we try to build it, then we add another step to test it. So basically, if someone tries to create a pipeline over the code, so he creates a code, then he build it, then again test it and try to create a separate stage for the errand and delivery. So in a one pipeline, we can go over the whole process of delivering from creating a code to release point. So it is very important for DevOps part, how we can deliver the product faster. Continuous integration is very important for us. Then comes to the continuous deployment tools. So Spin Maker is one of the tool we are usually uses nowadays. So it is an open source multi-cloud continuous delivery platform that enables rapid and reliable deployments. So when we integrate the code using continuous integration, so it is also important to deploy the code also. So once we integrate it, we have to deploy it on the machine and try to test it. If the code works good, then we go to the release branch, release or customer end. Otherwise, there is no use of the continuous delivery and continuous integration. Then the other tool is Ansible nowadays we are using. It is basically for configuration management. So we configure various things, like how things are working on the customer end, how we want things to the customer end. So different customers have different requirements. So we configure various things at customer end using Ansible. So Ansible is also very important in DevOps. Then comes the containerization tools. If you know, guys, Docker and Kubernetes are very important nowadays. So basically, what we are using till now are our local machines. To set up a lab, we use our local machine. But with the changes, with the help of Docker, now we can use a image to create our own environment. So let's assume if a person be doing something on his environment and the code works there, but not the same thing is not working on the person B environment. So what we use is Docker. So person A creates an environment, how code is working and dependencies also in the environment. Create an image for it. Image is just a, you can say is just a file, and then pass it to customer B or the person B. The person B will apply the same file and create the environment there. So there is no use of the environment we have or the system we have. We created an image and then use it on the other machines. So we are not dependent on the architecture of our machine. Only we are dependent on the containerization or the images we have in the Docker. So we create environment using Dockers. We get the images from the Docker. So it is very helpful as we. It is very tedious job when we heard that it is working in my environment and it is not working in someone other environment. So Docker is very helpful for us there. There are various commands we can use. Docker Hub for also to get the images. We can use Docker pull or Docker push commands to get and push the images on the regular basis. So Docker is one of the things we should try at our first at the very basic levels. Then comes the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is also very important. As we know, we automate the things, but it is very important also to automate the deployment also. So let us assume a product had various components, like 5 components. You create a build on first component and it is affecting our third component. So it is very important to deploy all the environment, all the components at the same level. So we create an environment using Docker and then we use Kubernetes in it to deploy things, to deploy components. Let us assume we are deploying a architecture of a website. So we have 2 components, a UI end or a payment end. So once someone trigger a buy now option, the payment mode is also activated. So it is very important that these 2 components work simultaneously. So Kubernetes also helping us to deploy and scale thing. So and the most important part is monitoring things. So we have to monitor everything. So how Prometheus is very useful at our end is it gets the matrices of how things are working or how deployments the things are working. As you see, as an open source monitoring or alerting toolkit designed for reliability and scalability. Then comes the Grafana. So we use Grafana and Prometheus together sometimes to get the matrices and display or visualize at our end. So basically, Grafana is also an open source platform for monitoring and observe things like to query, visualize, or alert on matrices. As Prometheus collecting all the matrices, and then matrices pass on to Grafana to check how the things are working at the Grafana end. So let's assume we have a website again. Two things are working there: the payment mode and the UI mode, the component. Yeah. So if the UI component is very not working very great, so Prometheus collect all the matrices at the Prometheus end and then pass on to the Grafana to visualize the how things are working on their end. Then comes the logging tools. So we log things like if we are working on a component and component is not working, so basically we logs things. And in case of alerts also, if like on a server, if we are someone is using a server and the server is down due to some error, so the alert is coming continuously to us. Even in our phone also we get some alerts, so we store alerts in the Elasticsearch. So what Elasticsearch is, it is basically a no SQL database, a traditional database, but no SQL database where we can store images, documents, speeches, or various things. So alerts are or logs are stored on the Elasticsearch, and then we can visualize logs also on the Kibana and or Logstash end. So these are very important. So they provides a powerful solution for searching, analyzing, or visualizing Logstash. Then comes the collaboration, the most important part. So there is a tool we use on daily basis, that is Jira. Sorry, Jira. So basically it is a project management tool, so where we can track all the issues, bugs, and we can manage all the things there. We offer customizable workflows and real-time collaboration. So when a bug come, how we can track the bugs is resolved or not, or is a how features are going to be take place, how each component is to be deployed on the customers, and who will work on this feature, who will work on the other feature. These all things are works on the Jira end. We manage things on the Jira end, and then we will give the task to the person, developers. Then he will take the Jira at his end and manage the bug or the feature he has. So Jira is very important for tracking all the things. Teams, as we also know, how communication platform is developing after COVID is very important. So as we use Teams, Google Meet, other things also to just communicate with the customer, production details is very important at our end. And then we maintain a confidence. There is a tools also, Confluence, for maintaining the document, the things we have created. So once we created all the things, we have to document also. So if changes are come at our end again, so we can see the documented things and start working on the documented things only. We don't need to again go to the scratch and start developing everything. We can use the documentation and then go through the documentation, then we can start building things. And then we go to the infrastructure as tool. Like already told you, how cloud is very important in DevOps. So we are moving to cloud nowadays. So basically cloud provides us various technology. So at the cloud and we create resources. Our machine we already have resources, but at the cloud then we create resources. Provisioning resources is very important. So cloud basically provides us the same functionality at lower cost. So that's why we are going to the cloud side. So at the clouds and as IAC tools, Terraform and Cloud Formation are very important. So Terraform is basically is a tool for building or changing versioning infrastructure safely. So we can create infrastructure using Terraform, and then we can use Cloud Formation. It is a AWS tool that allow users to define and provisioning cloud infrastructure using templates. So these are the tools that are mostly used in the market. There are various tools in the market we can use, but mostly these tools we are using on the daily basis. So then comes the role of cloud and DevOps. As I already told it, cloud is coming into the picture very soon. So everyone in the future will use cloud with the DevOps thing. So basically, why cloud is important in DevOps? So basically, it provides the scalable resource that we can adjust on demand. So we can create VMs or destroy VMs on our own basis. Like if we do not require additional server for our requirement, we can destroy the VM or server. Yeah. So cloud provide us this functionality or flexibility to go according to yours. Then it also efficient for cost. Otherwise, we have to pay a large amount of bill. But cloud provides us infrastructure as much you want and pay as you go pricing level. So then cloud also provide us the managed servicing like for databases, CI/CD and more. So cloud we can use various types of databases in cloud. So cloud also provides basic functionality of databases, CI/CD. We can create pipelines in cloud also, and support for CI/CD as I already told for the continuous integration and continuous deployment. Then comes the cloud providers, the who can provide DevOps things, supporting DevOps thing. So majorly three cloud providers providing us the DevOps capabilities. So the first one is AWS. So mostly companies are using AWS and Azure as their cloud suite for the DevOps thing. So what AWS and Azure providing? So basically AWS is providing a suite of DevOps tools, including DevOps code pipeline and code build. So basically the main thing is how the cloud is helping us. So they are providing us the same thing, the CI/CD databases, but they are reliable. The one is more reliable, one is less reliable. According, we can choose which cloud we have to go or the pricing system. Azure also provide us the Azure DevOps services for CI/CD, project management, and version control. Also, as I told you, we can use Azure DevOps to use the version controlling also. We can control our code version or source version at Azure and also. Then comes the third cloud, that is Google Cloud, that supports DevOps practices like Google Kubernetes Engine or code build or stack driver for monitoring. So there are three main types of clouds we are using nowadays. Then comes the challenges in DevOps. So when we create things, deploy things at the customer end, so security concerns is very important. It's a part of ops team to manage a reliable system. But we sometimes we have some security vulnerabilities or some issues as we use Docker images at our daily end. So various Docker images have vulnerabilities to our security. So various, if you know, security concerns like HSTS not there. We do not use a stable communication channel, that is HTTPS. So security concerns are very important for us. We have to maintain security in our DevOps and measurement and matrices, as we already use Prometheus and Grafana to monitor things, but still we have to face various problems like the system memory is not there. The server problem is due to this also only. The memory is not there, the sufficient space is not there, various things like that. So we have to monitor things and get the matrices so we can do not fail to provide the reliable solution to the customers. And yeah. So what is the responsibility for a young DevOps engineer or someone who is using a DevOps for? nowadays. So as I told you, CI/CD is very important. Continuous integration, continuous deliveries makes the process very easier and faster also. IaaS using cloud tools, as we are switching to the cloud nowadays. So using Terraform, Ansible is very important. Then we have to monitor things as we created the things, but monitoring is also important to maintain the matrices and how to display things so that we do not stuck in some confusion or issue. Security is one challenge of DevOps. We have to maintain the security at our land and do not allow customer to face any security concerns also. So performance is, we have to take in mind like ensure system reliability and performance, because where there are various components working at the DevOps and there are, let assume, 20 components working at the DevOps, and we have to maintain reliability and performance. So any components fails because of other component, we have to check it, we have to again continuous integrate and deploy things. So it is very important to make the performance efficient. So then we comes to a case study, how Netflix is growing with the use of DevOps. So using DevOps culture and moving to cloud, Netflix has gained 8 times as many subscribers it has in 2008. So basically, as we can see how Netflix subscriber rate is increasing in it's just 8 times, and Netflix monthly streaming hours also grew 1,000 times from December 2007 to December 2015. So how DevOps are changing things, like we all know how Netflix are doing business nowadays, but DevOps is maintaining a crucial part in their success. So they are maintaining it, so they are providing a faster solution using DevOps, and then their business is also growing. So at Netflix, also cloud providers supporting DevOps engineers at Netflix prescribed that the best way to avoid failure was to fail constantly. And so they cut out to make their cloud infrastructure more safe and available the DevOps way by continuous integration, deployment, and continuous testing also. So what future trends we can see in DevOps? So as I already said in the starting, AI is very important in this journey of DevOps. So with the rise of Chat GPT and others AI technology, we also optimize or automate various DevOps processes using AI only. So if someone start learning DevOps, you can use Chat GPT or various other tools, AI tools that will help you to get the knowledge of DevOps. So if I write a code in Python only and I want to convert it to some other language, let us assume in Terraform, like I write a code in to create a resource in Python for Azure resource, and then I want the code to be in Terraform. So AI help you there. How AI convert the code from Python to Terraform is amazing. So we can use AI and ML. It is very important for us to integrate ourselves, use AI and ML on our daily basis, and how automation is increasing on the DevOps cycle. And then security is a concern. So might be we can see security practices are directly come into the picture and policies are there. So we call it is a DevSecOps. So it is a security is also integrated with the DevOps part. Then if someone wants to use the DevOps or get start with the DevOps, so very important is we should start our learning from learning the basics, that is Linux or Unix system. So at the server ends, the mostly things are working at the mostly Unix or Linux end. So very important to go with the Linux systems or Unix system, get some codes like or commands as I like pwd or cd commands, get some basics command and start working on the system. So use your hands to get over the skills of Linux or Unix. Yeah. And then we can use other languages, programming languages like Python, Bash. So it is very important. These languages are very important to get started in the DevOps thing. Then tools, key tools to learn, as I already told, for version control, we use Git, CI/CDs, Jenkins, configuration management in Ansible, and Puppet. Containerization is Docker, Kubernetes. Monitoring, we use Grafana, Prometheus. Then learning resource, as what I used was Coursera for the introduction to DevOps, and then I also use Udemy Docker for beginners. This is just for beginner courses. There are various courses available on Udemy for the DevOps things. We can also have their labs also. We can use it for our daily practices. You can use the lab and then create our own environment, do the things, deploy some components and try to do things on our own. And if someone are interested in books, I also written some books name, you can also use it. Then comes the practical experience. So firstly, I will suggest someone, if you are going towards the DevOps thing, create a lab for yourself on your Linux environment or your environment. Create a Linux environment, then do deploy all the components like Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, and then do the things. So basically, I just said two things if you are going very basics. So set up a personal project using CI/CD pipeline. So one can go with the Jenkins only. It is a open source project automation tool. So one can use it. Then we can create a simple web application, just also a hello world also, using Docker and Kubernetes. So we can use deploy images from the Docker, use Kubernetes component, and then we can display the component web page on the browser. So we can use these two things to just our hands dirty on the DevOps thing. Then contribute to open source. We know GitHub community is very growing nowadays. So if you are getting stuck at some point, use GitHub, your tool, to show the to ask problems, to ask for solution from the original component. And then if someone wants to do the
Green नहीं है
certification also, we can go with the AWS certification, and then the CKAD. And then if network, for networking, I must say use LinkedIn, join LinkedIn groups and online forums, and attend DevOps meetup. And in summary, I just say DevOps is very important, as I already said 5 or 6 times. I start learning the basics, very basics, like initial how version control is working, like Git, how Docker is working, how Kubernetes is working. Use Jenkins pipeline to deploy all the things. How automation is working, Jenkins. Try to create continuous integration and then delivery using the Kubernetes. Then use online resources to get the practical experience and get satisfied certificate. Engage with the community and keep learning. And thank you. If you guys have any questions, please. Yeah. So so cloud certification are very not very useful, but if you have knowledge over the clouds, how DevOps engineer working on the cloud is very important nowadays, because we are moving towards the cloud thing. So I must suggest learn the cloud, but certificates are not at all necessary if you got the skills and have the enough knowledge. Uh, can we do AI? If you are asking about the DevOps and AI, we can. So this very soon we will see how AI is working with the DevOps. So I must say, learn AI basics and DevOps also if you want to go skill in this field. What are the best from? So programming, I must suggest for programming use Python, and for scripting you can go with the Linux. Linux is very important in DevOps because most of our servers are very important. Um, Sir, it is very learn. So basically, programming languages you can go with the basics of Python. Create a small web application or very best basics Python you can go with, because sometimes we need Python libraries, add shells and all also. So it is very basics Python. If you can go with the DevOps thing, it is also good. So any trusted resource or recommendation for learning DevOps? So there are various tools we can use for DevOps. There are various pages or channels on LinkedIn also you can use. So I must suggest, if you got Udemy at your end, you can use various resources there and try to get basics learning of DevOps and use their labs also. What do how do DevOps and so basically, company initially, like, they do not want you be very much skillful in DevOps things. But if you know the basics of DevOps, like if you know how Docker works or how Kubernetes works, how Git is working, that is enough to get you in a secure a job in DevOps field. But I must suggest use AI also with the DevOps things. It will make your process very easier with the learning part. So there is no such syllabus of DevOps. So again I'm saying, like, start with the very basic things, like how Git is working, how Docker is working, how Kubernetes is working, and if you go through these things, you will get to know how every other thing is working with this thing. So I must suggest start very basics with the Git, Docker, Kubernetes. That's all you need to know in the starting. What is the career opportunity? So the career opportunities are various, very high. So what is DevOps is you are dealing with the infra of a project. So you assume you have the all overview of the infra, how different how things are working at the infra level. So there are various opportunities in DevOps when you start working. So it will be a open ocean you can, like, deep dive into. So I must suggest, if you are going with the DevOps thing, you should start learning things very early. And yeah, difference between DevOps and Agile. So basically, Agile is a software development life cycle. DevOps is using the concept of Agile. So there is no difference between DevOps or Agile, I must say. So what Agile is doing, we do the continuous integration and development at the same time. So that's the same thing DevOps are providing us. We are implementing DevOps, and Agile is just a, SDLC model. So basically, there is no clear answer of the average salary of DevOps engineer. So you can't be a developer, can't be a DevOps engineer at your first job or at the fresher level. You get to know about DevOps in the later stage, because as a DevOps engineer is a infra engineer. So company do not provide all the resources to you if you are just a fresher. All the infra resources at just a fresher, so you need to create build skills and show how you are skillful in the DevOps things. So once you are good in DevOps, in the average salary, I must suggest 12 to 15 lakh is very basic salary. I'm telling 12 to 15 LPA is very basics for a DevOps engineer. If you are 3 years experience, it is you can easily get 12 to 15 LPA. Yes, so my role is basically nowadays what the role is quite a bit changing according the requirements of the projects. So I can tell you about my what I am doing recently. So if you got to know the various components, how DevOps is working, like the Kubernetes, we deploy things, we deploy components there at the Kubernetes end. So my currently job is to create the deployment very security concerns. So there are various images, as I told you, Docker images are various vulnerabilities are there. So I have to check the vulnerabilities between the images and create a secure or a reliable environment at the customer end and deploy various things. So once we create the environment using Kubernetes, so if you start working, I just giving you a brief. So there are very little things. So we have pods in it, we have replica sets in it. So there are various objects like we create in the Python with various objects using our object oriented approach. We have already various objects in the Kubernetes. We use those objects to create the environment or the deployment successful. So my work is to create the deployment and check the images are secured or not. So currently I am working on it. Yeah.
I think so. We are good to go with the session. I mean, we are good to wrap up with the session. All the doubts from the students have been cleared up.
Yeah. Thank you, Gitika. Thank you for
Okay. All
thank
right. So thank you, Hitesh sir, for taking such a wonderful session. The session was very insightful. I believe all of the students present here would be taking something from the session, including myself. So thank you once again for clearing what DevOps is and how a DevOps engineer can work. What is cloud computing? More of that. So thank you for all of that. We are looking forward to many more such sessions. And thank you all the students who were present here, taking their time out and learning and upskilling themselves. Pregrad is always here to support you. So to students as well, looking forward to see you at more of such webinars and workshops. Once again, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Hitesh sir for joining, and keep yourself hydrated. That is it, and keep learning and growing. Thank you everybody.